Good day and welcome. Matthew here again. Manufacturers Cup, Sardegna Road Track A this time in the Group 3s. Starting on pole with Ferrari. I could not believe my pole lap. I could not believe I got pole. Huzo followed me the whole way in my draft and picked up second place ahead of the really fast cars, the Corvette, the Mustang and the GTR, all which I expected to start ahead of me. So it was ideal the Subaru started behind. I knew the Subaru didn't have quite the straight line speed of the Ferrari, so even in my draft I knew I could stay ahead of him in the race. So my goal was just to try to gap him, or at least keep Huzo there, because he was going to be my buffer to the Corvette and the other fast guys behind. I was fully expecting to lose the Corvette and probably the Ford and the GTR. They were all faster cars than the Ferrari. The Ferrari was no slouch around here, but it did not have the pace of those cars. So to take pole and then kind of start to eke out a small lead, I was really happy in this stage. I could not believe it. But you see McEwen attacking early and attacking hard. I knew he had the pace. We'd done a bit of a practice race the previous night, and that Corvette was probably the car to have. It was super impressive. And the GTR down in 5th. They were probably the two fastest cars I've seen around here. So going into that corner, I put the brakes on my marks. That's the strength of the Subaru. So the Subaru, even though it doesn't have the straight line speed, it could brake so much later than many other cars. And I guess he just went up the inside of my car because of his advantage under braking. He probably didn't mean to. He was probably just braking where he normally would, but found himself going up the left-hand side. So I had to defend pretty hard into this corner against the Corvette and the Subaru, who had, kind of compromised my line out of that last one. So I was a little bit gutted by that, and you see the mistake by Huzo coming through that corner. McEwen is through into second, and that was not good for my race. That was the last thing I wanted, was McEwen on the second lap, sitting in second, a 10th behind me. I knew I did not have the pace to pull away from him, and I'd have to defend like stink to keep him there. So heading into the last part of the track, lap 2 still, McEwen has a good run on me. I brake as late as I dare to try to keep him behind. Just got to pull it up, try to avoid that curb as much as possible. It is very slippery in the Ferrari on that curb. The outside curb, not so bad. I knew I was faster through the left-hander, so if I could be nice and quick through here, it was one of the few advantages the Ferrari had of the Corvette, was the quick change of direction. I only eked out about a 10th or so it wasn't enough. I really had to nail this corner. The other advantage the Ferrari had was it could really pull out from a corner, from the slow corners. It had a small acceleration advantage over the Vet, but that quickly disappeared, and he was only 4 tenths, I think 5 tenths maybe, behind when the Corvette picked up its speed and started gaining on me. So I just have to run the defensive line down the left-hand side. You can see how fast he's closing on me. He's got a much better top-end speed. We're going into the braking zone side by side. I brake as late as I dare, and he just goes around the outside of me. I couldn't believe it. That was a hell of a move by McEwen to take the lead from me. Really impressed by that. I thought I was as late as I could. I don't think I could have put on the brakes much later. I would have just been running people off the road doing so, or running myself off the road. So for him to be able to go and do that still after drafting down the straight, which the draft effects are quite significant in these cars, he had so much more overspeed than he normally would. To pull it up was really impressive, and he nailed me around the outside, took a neat apex and maintained that position. And the Ferrari, I'm kind of gaining on him here. I'm thinking maybe I can get him into this corner. I needed to gain on him faster. Not really happening, not from this far back. And because it's my first time in the draft, I didn't want to go too deep and just run into the back of him, which is very easy to do. But at the same time, I'm just giving away a couple of tenths. So, a little bit frustrating. I know I'd done this practice race. I'd been in this position before. I can't hold a candle to the Corvette for whatever reason around here. It's just ideal. And McEwen was driving it beautifully, has to be said. I think he dropped a little bit in qualifying, but the race he's just driving really well. So coming into the final 2 laps, McEwen's just outside of slipstream range, so I'm starting to fall back more and more. We're about 1.2 seconds, and Adam in the Ford is coming at me fast. That thing is stupid fast in a straight line, a lot faster than the Ferrari. So he goes down the outside. This time I do a much more successful job in defending into turn 1. He tries to undercut. I've got the inside line for this one, so I've got the shorter line. I take the position back, and then he goes to look up the left hand side. I figure I can just brake a bit later and just take a fast line through here. He'll be compromised because he's over to the left a bit more, and I could maintain my line through there. Pull it up for the next right hander, get on the power. I know I've got the advantage out of the slower corners, just. And then through here, if I can nail my apex through here, I can get on the power early. Just about there. A little bit later than I wanted, but just enough. But I knew he'd be back on me. We're only about 3/10 ahead of him, and he's certainly a lot faster in the straight line. So you see he's going to go down the outside down here. We're going to be side by side into the braking zone. Thankfully for this left hand corner, it gives me enough of an advantage to outbrake him into here. Just got to pull it up once again on the apex, get a good drive. Car's getting a little bit squirrely. The right rear tyre is the one that starts to go, and the last 2 laps are the most difficult in this thing. So not only are my tyres starting to go, I've got to defend against a much faster car, in a straight line that is. I am faster through there than he is. Probably the slipstream doesn't help his turn-in, and the Ferrari does have a good advantage through that left-hander. Unfortunately, it's only 1 corner out of about 10. And again, pulling out of that last corner, good traction, good power, but then when we hit about 215, 220, the Ford's starting to get a better run. But I'd created enough of a gap that I thought, okay, I'm not going to have to defend so heavily into here. It's going to be more about the back straight and trying to get away from him there. So I take a normal line, hit my usual braking point, pull it up at the apex, and get a good drive once again out. I knew he'd be faster through here. He may look again at this left-hander, so I was kind of expecting it, but I didn't think it'd be too much of a problem. I can take an outside line. If we went side by side, I'd end up on the right-hand side for the next corner, so that's okay. So I wasn't too concerned about that corner, just more about hitting the apexes and getting a good drive, getting the power down without getting too sideways, because that right rear is getting a bit low. And this corner here, that's the one that suffers the most with the right rear. Bit of counter steer on the exit, but I got the power down decently. But once again, same position. I'm only 3/10 ahead. I know the Ford's fast down here, so I'm in the exact same position as last time. Take the left-hand side, give myself as much room to the right as possible, and I brake a little bit deeper this time. I do miss the apex slightly. My rear end steps out. I give him a bit of a tap, but I did notice that I was ahead for that right-hander, so I could just take the racing line and take it away from him. So now I've just got 2 corners to go. I've got to get a good drive out of here. Fortunately for me, the Ferrari is very good through there. It is a blind corner, so it's harder for the guy following to get a good clean apex. And at that point, I'd gained about 3/10 through that one alone. I just had to do this last corner, get a good drive. Once again, the Ferrari, bit of an advantage out of that corner. It would create enough of a buffer that he couldn't overtake me at the line. So I come home 2 seconds behind the Corvette, but pretty damn happy with the second in the Ferrari around here. Did not expect it. Going in, I thought top 5. Maybe. I did not expect a second place. Really happy with that. So that was it. Some seriously tough racing. As I said, I did not expect to get second. I didn't expect to start on pole, to be honest. Could not believe it. I was over the moon with that one. Clinching pole around here. Like, the Ferrari's good. I love this track. The Ferrari has some advantages around here, but it did not have the raw lap pace that some of the faster cars did. You had to have a car that was fast in a straight line to do well. And you saw, well, looking at the top 4, you got the Vet, the Ford Mustang, and the GTR. All very competitive. So I was kind of a fish out of water with this one, but held onto the tyres just, and drove a decently defensive race at the end to maintain my second place. I was pretty happy with the result. I was a little bit gutted though, because after putting it on pole and seeing where Hugo sat, I felt I could have won this race. I was kind of disappointed. Like, I didn't expect it going in, but after getting pole and sitting there with Hugo behind me, I was like, maybe we can do this. You know, I was So, like, McEwen drove a great race. That Corvette was one of the cars to have, but he drove a great race and deserved the win. But I was still disappointed that I didn't get it. Even though I knew I couldn't beat the Corvette in a straight fight, I was still disappointed I couldn't get it. But really happy to hold off Adam in the Mustang. I didn't expect to, but I gave my all, and it's nice to come out on top against one of the best guys in the region. Although in saying that, he did say he'd only done, I think, 2 practice laps before he did this race. So, like, if that's legitimately, that's insane to pick up a 3rd place and harass me the whole way down. And he qualified 4th or something. Nuts. Anyway, that was it. Really cool race. Really good race. Good clean battles, as generally expected with the top guys of Oceania. Really good fun. So if you did like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button, share it with your friends and family. If you want to see these races live, come follow me on Twitch. The link is in the description below. Thank you very much for coming along and watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and goodbye.